We often talk about change, maybe changing jobs or even just what we want for dinner. But what about real transformation, like the deep stuff? Is it just, acting differently, or is it something much more fundamental? Today, we're doing a deep dive into a really fascinating ancient text, Acts chapter 9, and specifically the incredibly dramatic story of Saul. You probably know him better as the Apostle Paul later on. We're going to try and pull out some insights, surprisingly relevant insights about what radical personal change actually looks like and, well, the kind of ripple effects it has.
Right. And our goal here, our mission, is to unpack not just what happens when someone flips like that, but why it seems to stir up so much conflict.
Yeah.
And also, crucially, who needs to step in to connect that changed person back to the wider community. We'll explore how one person's transformation can actually become a catalyst for strengthening the whole group.
Okay, so let's dive in. Who was this Saul figure before everything changed? The account paints him as, well, pretty formidable, an intellectual heavyweight. It calls him a Pharisee of Pharisees. He studied under Gamaliel, like top-tier Ivy League scholar today, but with real religious and social clout. But here's the kicker. He was also relentlessly persecuting the early Christians. The text says he was breathing out threats and murder, actively trying to crush this new movement.
And what's just staggering is how fast and complete his conversion was on that road to Damascus. It's instantaneous. I mean, 1 minute he's heading there to destroy those who called on Jesus' name. The next, boom, he's in the synagogues proclaiming Jesus is the Son of God. It wasn't slow. It wasn't gradual. It was a total U-turn, a complete pivot.
And the reaction, you can imagine, just utter disbelief. People were floored. They just couldn't square the man they knew with the man they were hearing now. The text captures it perfectly, right? People asking, isn't this the guy who is trying to destroy them in Jerusalem? Didn't he come here to arrest them? It really underlines how humanly impossible this kind of rapid, total change seems. It points to something beyond just, deciding to be different.
Precisely. And it wasn't just a momentary thing either. What's really striking is that the account says he didn't just change, he gained more strength.
Yeah.
He kept proclaiming Jesus as the Christ, astonishing the Jews in Damascus. So this wasn't some fleeting emotional high. It was a deepening conviction, an ongoing thing.
Yeah, a continuous surge.
Yeah.
So that really makes you ask, doesn't it, given how shocking and sudden it was? What makes a transformation like that stick? What are the signs? It's real and lasting, not just temporary. What does the source tell us?
Well, that's exactly where the text goes next. It seems to highlight three really striking characteristics of genuine lasting change drawn right from Saul's experience. The first one, as you kind of mentioned, is that almost shocking immediacy.
Immediacy. So not like a slow burn. It says immediately he preached. What does that tell us? Is deep change always that fast?
Well, it suggests that true transformation isn't about hedging your bets or making excuses. It's like a decisive switch, an immediate alignment with this new reality. It points to a really profound shift right at the core. Not just tweaking things on the surface. It's a certain and thorough change in action, as the source puts it.
Okay, decisive.
And tied right into that is the second thing, continuity. Or you could say sustained power.
Ah, right. So it's not just a flash in the pan. This change, this power, it doesn't just fizzle out. It keeps going. Saul kept gaining strength, kept declaring Jesus. How does that continuity actually work?
The material talks about it like a virtuous cycle of faith. It's like each bold step, each act of proclamation, it fueled the next one, it built momentum. So it wasn't just a one-time decision. It was this ongoing process, this increasing conviction.
Okay, immediacy, continuity. What's the third one? You said it might be surprising.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting and maybe a bit uncomfortable. The third hallmark is conflict, opposition.
Conflict. How is conflict a hallmark of something positive like transformation? That seems backwards.
It does, doesn't it? But look at Saul, his former allies, the very people who are on his side, persecuting Christians, maybe even some of those Hellenistic Jews who argued with Stephen right before he was killed. They now wanted to kill him.
Wow. Talk about a reversal. So why? Why does genuine change seem to attract opposition? What's the clash?
Well, the core idea is that there's a fundamental difference in values. The transformed life, as presented here, often involves things like sacrifice, service, looking beyond yourself, whereas the world often prioritizes, comfort, security, personal success. When your deepest values shift so radically, you inevitably rub up against the prevailing culture. They're just different paths.
That makes sense intellectually. But practically, facing that kind of conflict, It must be incredibly isolating. Actually, there was a part in the source material that really hit home for me personally. It described how after a big life change, friends just disappeared. It forced this painful choice. Stick with your new convictions or keep your old friends. And it led to this real period of isolation. It's not just theory, it's deeply personal.
Oh, absolutely. It can
Yeah.
be incredibly painful. But the source presents this opposition, counterintuitively perhaps, almost as a confirmation that the change is real. There's this really potent line. If our faith has no difference with the world, we need to examine if we truly believe in Jesus. It really pushes you to ask, is your faith, is your transformation making you a little too comfortable? Is it actually challenging anything?
That's a tough question. So, okay, Saul escapes Damascus, gets lowered in a basket over the wall, which is an amazing story itself, and he heads to Jerusalem. But now he's got a new problem. The people he used to persecute, the disciples there, they don't trust him at all. It says they were all afraid of him. They just couldn't believe he was for real. I mean, given his history, consenting to Stephen's death, hunting them down, you can't really blame them, can you?
Not at all. It's completely understandable. And this is where this crucial figure, Barnabas, steps in. What's so fascinating about Barnabas is his name. It means son of encouragement. And boy, did he live up to it. The text says Barnabas took Saul, like literally grabbed hold of him, took responsibility for him, vouched for him when nobody else would touch him.
He was the bridge, wasn't he? He laid out the evidence for the apostles. 3 key things. 1, how Saul had actually seen the Lord on the road. 2, how the Lord had spoken to him. And 3, how he had already been preaching fearlessly in Damascus. He pointed to Saul's direct experience and his immediate courageous actions.
Exactly. And the source material draws this really interesting parallel. It suggests Barnabas was acting as a kind of human mediator, reflecting, in a way, how Jesus mediates between God and us. It's not just about practicality. There's a deeper principle. Barnabas bridged that huge gap of fear and mistrust between Saul, the notorious persecutor, and the understandably terrified church community.
Yeah, that really highlights how vital people like Barnabas are, these mediators, these bridges. We need them in any community, right? And especially for people who are new or misunderstood or maybe have a difficult past. Why should you care? Because it shows even the most radical personal change needs connection. It needs someone to help integrate it into the community. You can't just do it alone.
Absolutely. And look what happened when Saul's dramatic transformation, marked by that immediacy, continuity, and conflict, met Barnabas's courageous mediation. The result, the account says. Then the church throughout Judea, Galilee, and Samaria enjoyed a time of peace and was strengthened. Living in the fear of the Lord and encouraged by the Holy Spirit, it increased in numbers. It's remarkable.
That links straight back to Acts 1:8, doesn't it? Jesus' commission. Witnesses in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria. This flourishing, this growth across the whole region, it wasn't random. It was the direct result of individual change and selfless connection, like a spark hitting kindling.
And the source details these 4 qualities of the thriving community that emerged. First, peace, shalom. Not just quiet, but like holistic well-being, harmony. Second, steadfastness, being built up like a continuous construction project, getting stronger, more resilient. Third, reverence for the Lord, a deeper shared spiritual life, worship. And fourth, the comfort of the Holy Spirit, the Spirit actively encouraging and consoling the whole community.
There's this great analogy in the source material, too. It says a strong building needs both good building materials, like the transformed Saul, and skilled technicians, like the mediator Barnabas. It's a good reminder that a healthy community isn't just a pile of individuals. It's built together through cooperation, through people connecting others.
Right. And notice the growth in numbers. That came after these qualitative changes. The peace, the building up, the reverence, the comfort. The numerical growth was a consequence, an outcome of the community becoming genuinely healthy and strong internally. It wasn't the first goal.
So wrapping this all up, what's the big takeaway from this deep dive into Saul and Barnabas? It seems like there are 3 core things here about deep change. First, real transformation often bumps up against the world's values. Expect some friction. Second, we absolutely need mediators, people like Barnabas, to help bridge gaps and bring changed people into the community fold. And third, when you get that individual change meeting, that kind of communal harmony and connection, the result is powerful. A community that's peaceful, strong, and, growing.
It really makes you think. The source mentioned the prayer of St. Francis, that line, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. That really brings it home, doesn't it? It prompts the question, how am I, personally, being an instrument of peace and connection in my world? Or am I, maybe unintentionally, adding to the division?
Yeah, it prompts some serious self-reflection, like, Are you genuinely transformed? Are your values distinct? Are you acting on them immediately, persistently, boldly? And maybe just as importantly, are you ever stepping into that Barnabas role? Being a bridge for someone else, bringing healing, making connections for those on the edges? Are you actively helping to build up your community, recognizing that real strength comes from both individual change and that loving connection between people? I guess ultimately the call is to be both, to be transformed ourselves and also to be those transformative bridges for others.